The highway was nearly empty that night. A few cars rolled past, their headlights bouncing off the wet pavement outside Birmingham, Alabama. The streetlights flickered, casting long shadows over the road. It was just past 11 p.m., the kind of hour where most people just wanted to get home. Lieutenant Commander Maya Caldwell had been driving for nearly 2 hours. Her fingers drummed lightly against the wheel as she hummed along to an old jazz tune playing through her speakers. Dressed in a simple black sweater and jeans, her hair pulled back, she blended in. Or so she thought. Then she saw the lights in her rearview mirror, red and blue, flashing, gaining on her fast. Her stomach clenched, not out of fear, but exhaustion. She knew how this went. She had seen it before. Maya signaled, changed lanes, and eased her car onto the shoulder. She put the car in park, took a slow breath, and kept both hands visible. A white patrol car stopped just behind her. The officer inside took his time getting out. When he finally did, he moved with the arrogance of a man who expected obedience. His boots scuffed against the asphalt. One hand rested on his belt. The other held a flashlight that flicked on as he approached. She watched him through the side mirror. The name on his badge caught the light. Briggs. License and registration. No greeting, no explanation, just orders. Maya met his eyes in the mirror, then reached slowly into the glove compartment, pulling out her documents. "Was I speeding, officer?" Her voice was steady. Briggs didn't answer right away. He took her papers, glancing at her car with disinterest. "Taillights out." She frowned. "That can't be right." His gaze snapped back to her. "Are you arguing with me?" A beat of silence. The shift in power was palpable. She'd seen this before, on bases overseas, in training exercises meant to prepare sailors for the world outside the Navy. She knew better than to push, but she also knew her rights. "I'm just saying," she replied evenly. "My taillights were checked a few weeks ago. If there's an issue, I'll get it fixed." Briggs tilted his head, smirking. "Step out of the car." Her jaw tightened. "Mind telling me why?" "Because I said so." The cold air hit her skin as she stepped out. Her posture was relaxed but measured. She wasn't looking for a fight, but she wouldn't be bullied either. Briggs stepped closer. "Turn around. Hands on the car." She hesitated. "For what reason?" Briggs's smirk vanished. "Are you resisting?" Maya exhaled slowly. "Number, I'm asking a question." His jaw tensed. Then, without warning, he reached for his radio. "We got a non-compliant driver here," he muttered. Then louder. "Turn around." Her pulse picked up, but her face remained neutral. "Officer, I need you to understand something." Her voice was low but firm. "I know exactly what I'm allowed to do, and I know exactly what you can't do." Briggs didn't like that. "You're under arrest." He grabbed her wrist, yanking it back. "Under arrest for what?" "Obstructing an officer." Maya exhaled sharply. So that's the game. She had two choices: comply and fight this later, or push back and risk escalation. She wasn't about to become another statistic. Slowly, she placed her hands on the roof of her car. The metal was cool against her palms. Briggs tightened the cuffs far too much before shoving her toward the patrol car. "You don't know what you're doing," she murmured. Briggs chuckled. "Lady, I know exactly what I'm doing." But he didn't, not even close. The hard plastic seat of the patrol car dug into her back. Outside, Briggs strutted back to his vehicle, muttering into his radio. Maya exhaled, slow and steady. Control the breathing. Control the mind. She had been through combat drills, interrogations, high-stakes operations. But this was a man with a badge, drunk on power. The drive to the station was long and silent. "You must really think you're somebody," Briggs finally said. Maya didn't flinch. "I don't think. I know." His smirk faltered for just a second. "You military?" he asked, his tone shifting. She didn't answer. "Yeah, I figured." He smirked again. "You got that attitude. Think you're above the law." Maya stayed silent. "Shame," he mused. "If you just kept your mouth shut, we could have avoided all this." Her jaw tightened. The audacity. The station came into view. A squat gray building with an empty parking lot. As Briggs pulled into a reserved spot, he glanced at her through the partition. "Gotta say, I do love when they make it easy." He had no idea what was coming. The courthouse was silent. Maya stood beside her attorney, Carla Whitman, flipping through documents. The doors swung open. Briggs walked in. His posture was the same, shoulders squared, chin lifted, but his confidence was cracking. The judge settled in. "Let's get to it." The prosecutor stepped forward. "Your Honor, we have reason to believe Lieutenant Commander Caldwell was unlawfully detained without probable cause. Furthermore, new evidence suggests a pattern of misconduct involving Officer Daniel Briggs." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The judge turned to Briggs. "Care to explain?" Briggs leaned forward. "Your Honor, the defendant was uncooperative during a routine stop." The prosecutor cut him off. "Uncooperative?" He lifted a document. "Lieutenant Commander Caldwell is a decorated officer. No criminal history, no citations. Are you telling me she was such a threat that you had to arrest her over a taillight?" Briggs opened his mouth, then shut it. Silence. The prosecutor continued. "Additionally, an internal review of your arrest history shows a disproportionate number of stops involving black drivers." Briggs's face darkened. "Let's play the footage," the judge ordered. The courtroom went silent as the body cam footage played. Briggs's voice, Maya's calm responses, his escalating aggression, the unnecessary arrest. When the video ended, the judge exhaled. "Sergeant Briggs, you violated protocol. You conducted an unlawful arrest, and you failed to report key details." His gavel came down. "The charges against Lieutenant Commander Caldwell are dismissed." And then, "I strongly suggest an internal investigation into Sergeant Briggs." Briggs's face burned. Maya exhaled, slow and controlled. She never had a doubt. Across town, Briggs sat in a chief's office. "You're suspended," the chief said, "effective immediately." Briggs clenched his fists. "This is bull." "Don't." The chief's voice was ice. "The DA is reviewing your cases, and if they find what I think they will, your career is over." Briggs felt his world crumble. Meanwhile, Maya sat in a quiet cafe. Her phone buzzed. Briggs has been suspended. Might face charges. She took a slow sip of coffee. Good. Because this wasn't just about her. It was about accountability. And this time, power had lost.